Hi, it's Lisa. I'm back with the second part to my pocket page layout. The first layout that I did was this one, doing some Christmas photos, just kind of getting lots of odds and ends where we had a photo here and there of visiting with family and friends and going to a musical event where we actually knew that one of the musicians and got to visit with some friends there as well. So I have all of that on this page. The other side, I decided to concentrate on just one visit, and I was originally working with quite a few different Christmas papers, and my friend and I were doing some crafting things, so I thought that I ought to, you know, maybe do something a little more creative with the Project Life or the pocket cards here, and kind of make my own thing. So I'm going to be using my Gelli plate. Now, I did not have the Gelli plate when we were working together. We were doing some other stuff. But I have the Gelli plate now, and it's a lot of fun, and so I thought I would do that. So I'm going to show you how some different things I do with the Gelli plate, and then we'll come back and put those in the pocket. I also have my journaling typed up here, so I'm creating two cards here with the Gelli plate. I'll have the journaling here, and we'll be doing some more washi tape probably on the sides of these photos, because I had cropped these. I think there's 5 inches by 4 inches with the intention of cutting them down, but since I'm putting them in these pockets, I need them to go ahead and go all the way to the edges. If you're not interested in the Gelli plate, not into that kind of thing, it'll show you on the screen where you can skip that part of the video and just come back to pulling all this together with the washi and some other embellishments. For my Gelli prints, I'm going to be using some white metallic paint, some gold and silver I have set aside there, and then also I have a couple of stencils, and I'm using a lot of red and blue paints. This white metallic is somewhat transparent, and I'm adding just a little bit of silver to it. And I ended up, it looks like I'm doing this twice, but the phone rang. So I just left this in the video. It was hard to edit out. But I did end up doing it twice, but one of them ended up off camera. So what I'm doing is spreading my paint and then adding a little bubble wrap just to give a little bit of visual texture for my first pass on the print. And that gives me a nice silvery white background, and there was another one that I had done there, as I say, that ended up off camera because of the interruption. So we'll clean the Gelli plate, and then I'm going to add a bunch of blue. I went ahead and threw a little bit of silver back in there just because I had it. It had come off on the edge of the plate. Got a bright blue and then some baby blue. And I want it reasonably bold because that's the blue colors that I have in my photos. We're going to lay our snowflake stencil down, which was one I cut on the silhouette, and go over it with that metallic printed paper, and it made the most beautiful background. I can see myself doing that for Christmas cards next year. And the ghost print looks good too. So now we're going to switch gears and do something really different here with the reds. I'm using another stencil I cut on the silhouette and some red acrylic paint and barn red distress paint and just a touch of gold. And it doesn't have to even cover the whole Gelli plate because I don't need a very big piece here. That's a little bit of like shelf liner, just to add a little bit of visual texture and get my first print here. And I had red paint all over me. So now we're going to spread some white out, and we'll put down this stencil that was cut on the silhouette and put our red background over top of that, and that gives us one look. And what I do try using that white as a ghost print, it doesn't of course show up very well, at least not what I put it on. If I'd done cardstock or something, it would have showed up a lot better. But now I'm going to try the reverse. Where I did the red background and then put the white on it, I'm going to do it the other way. Because I still have, remember that white and silver where I made 2 of them? I still have a second one of those. So this is actually the second layer. Putting all the red down there. And then we'll put our stencil over top and see what it comes out with the red as the second layer. And you get 2 very different looks. Unfortunately, I'm not real thrilled with either one of them. I think this particular design looks better as a regular print than it does as a stencil. But I do kind of like the ghost version of it, and I bravely did it on my first Noel paper. So here are the prints that I have after this little session, and I'm deciding which ones I want to use. And I decided on the one with the music paper on there, and then I love the one with the snowflakes. So I'm going to cut those down to 4x6s and use those for cards. And I think I'll do the same thing for the photos that I did on the first page of this, and use some washi tape around the edges, definitely some reds, and I'm looking for some other colors, some blues, and I end up pulling some green as well to go along these different edges of the papers, because these were originally designed for like 4x5s, and I need to cover up that other little section and make them 4x6s. So now I have my washi in there. I did 3 reds, 1 on each edge, and then 3 other colors. Put the journaling on just some plain gray cardstock. Needed something to sort of rest the eyes over there on the right. I have these words in the wood that I thought would look good, and I rated my stickers. I don't have any Christmas stickers, but I did have some things that were relevant to the story, because the story here is really not that much about Christmas. It just happened to be at Christmas. It's more about friendship and the time that we spent together. So I got a sticker there with cakes and pies, because we had some sampled some Christmas desserts, but still some desserts together, and then just some stickers about fun and playing with the different craft products and that kind of thing, because that's really what's going on. It was also a lot of conversation, so I've got some Pebbles conversation bubbles, and what I'm going to do is write on there some of the topics that we talked about, because that's not really in the journaling so much. Just trying to figure out where they're going to go on the cards, even considered flipping them, because I think those cakes and pies would look better on the bottom, but the cards, the blue looks better on the bottom, I think. It's a little more balanced. And I'm going to put a little bit of washi on the different cards and on the strip where the journaling is. I decided I wanted my friend up there with my friend's photo, and then at the bottom I'll end up doing the date, or the year rather. It's obvious it's Christmas, but go ahead and put the year in there. It'll go in my 2014 album, but it might get separated at some point, so it's good to have that in there. And I'm just putting some washi tape across these, couple of layers on each one, and just wrapping it to the back. And then I'll glue these Pebbles wood pieces stick really well, but the other things are going to need a little bit of Tombow adhesive, and that's going to wrap up my pocket page. A little bit of a struggle to do this without a title, but I had the title on the previous page. It was still applicable. And I ended up putting my strips for this one at the very top. Thought that made a little more balanced arrangement. Okay, so here's what I ended up with my 3 photos and just a little bit of embellishment on a couple of them, including the washi tape to add some additional color, kind of tie everything in and finish off those edges. And then I have my cakes and pies, which goes with my story, and a list of topics, the kinds of things that we normally talk about when we get together. Then the date down here, and lots of journaling. So this one, it was a little bit more of a struggle because I kept wanting to put a title on it, and I really felt like I had the title over on the other side. One of my challenges with pocket pages is, unless I'm doing even if I'm doing a spread, then I have the backs of the pocket pages to deal with. And in this case, I thought, I've got to solve my pocket page problem by doing a front and back. But in this case, I really like this side, but I think that this I would have been happier with as a regular scrapbook page. So it's a little bit of a challenge. I have actually taken regular pages and just glued them to one side of a pocket page to get them in my albums and keep the continuity going, rather than trying to figure out how to work the pockets. So I'm just not a big pocket page scrapbooker. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's a struggle, as it was with this one. So that's just sort of my experiences with pocket pages. But you can see how I've used some stamps over here, and then this time using some washi tape and stickers, and still, you know, conveying the memories, and that's the most important part. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're not a subscriber, I'd love to have you subscribe. I do lots of traditional pages. I've been doing a lot of things with Gelli prints lately. I do cards on occasion. I use a lot of sketches, and I link those up over on my blog. I also have some classes if you're interested, and those are also on my blog. There's a 2-page class, one on using cardstock, doing lots of creative things with that, and then there's a class using stencils, which is one of my favorites. So thanks so much.